Hello and welcome to the show. Listen, I'm so glad that you could join me today for the show. This is about the power of dreams. This series this month, it's all about dreaming and how you're able to turn those dreams into reality. And so we have special guests today. Michelle Alexander. We're going to be talking with her. And then, of course, Alicia Simmons Hobson. So I just want you to sit back, relax, and enjoy because this is going to be a great show. We'll be right back.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.
I hope you do that, please. We have to pray for each other and keep each other encouraged. All right. So without further ado, the power of dreams. When I thought about this and the team thought about this, we said, what about dreams? There are people around the world in this country that have had dreams, and all of a sudden it becomes a reality. Well, how does that happen? Does that happen as you are being persistent? I hope you do that, please. We have to pray for each other and keep each other encouraged. All right. So without further ado, the power of dreams. When I thought about this and the team thought about this, we said, what about dreams? There are people around the world in this country that have had dreams, and all of a sudden it becomes a reality. Well, how does that happen? Does that happen as you are being persistent? Does that happen by chance? Does it happen by knowing the right person? We're going to find out. So the first person you're going to meet is a graduate of the University of Phoenix. She's a personal finance instructor and she's the owner of AJM Financial. But guess what? Friends and folks in Louisiana, as well as New York, New Jersey. With all that's going on with COVID on the rise, and then now we had Ida, and I tell you what, we need to just keep everybody in prayer. And so that's what I want you to do today, and that's what's on my mind, because I have friends as well in the different localities. And so I want you to keep that in mind as we move forward. Okay? I hope you do that, please. We have to pray for each other and keep each other encouraged. All right. So without further ado, the power of dreams. When I thought about this and the team thought about this, we said, what about dreams? There are people around the world in this country that have had dreams, and all of a sudden it becomes a reality. Well, how does that happen? Does that happen as you are being persistent? Does that happen by chance? Does it happen by knowing the right person? We're going to find out. So the first person you're going to meet is a graduate of the University of Phoenix. She's a personal finance instructor and she's the owner of AJ. Friends and folks in Louisiana, as well as New York, New Jersey. With all that's going on with COVID on the rise, and then now we had Ida, and I tell you what, We need to just keep everybody in prayer. And so that's what I want you to do today. And that's what's on my mind, because I have friends as well in the different localities. And so I want you to keep that in mind as we move forward. Okay? I hope you do that. Please. We have to pray for each other and keep each other encouraged. All right? So, without further ado, the power of dreams. You know, when I thought about this and the team thought about this, we said, what about dreams? There are people around the world in this country that have had dreams, and all of a sudden it becomes a reality. Well, how does that happen? Does that happen as you are being persistent? Does that happen by chance? Does it happen by knowing the right person? We're going to find out. So, the first person you're going to meet is a graduate of the University of Phoenix. She's a personal finance instructor and she's the owner of AJM Financial. But guess what? She's also the talk show host of Tuesday Talks with Mimi. None other than my friend who's coming from backstage, Miss Michelle Alexander. Come on out, Michelle.
Hi, Tammy.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm doing well, Michelle. Thank you so much. Listen, I appreciate you so much. I want to say publicly, thank you so much for supporting the Tammy Show. I mean, from the very first time we met, you came on the show last year, talked about finances, getting us all in shape, getting ready for what we need to do for the new year. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you for your friendship and for your advice as well.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So listen, Michelle, you know, this is all about the power of dreams. When I think about dreams and becoming a reality and being able to help the community, I wanted to talk to people like you because you have a story to tell, your journey. So the first question I want to ask you is, when you were young, what did you dream your future would be like?
Well, to be honest, I thought I was going to be a model and a singer. So,
All right. Well, you can sing a few bars right now.
right. If I could think of a song real quick, but no, seriously, I did. I wanted to be a model or a singer. And, you know, as you get older, you hear different stories. And I'm like, you know, at the time she wasn't around, but, you know, I'm no Mariah Carey. So I'm real with myself. So I'm not her. And that's my girl. So, yeah. And then the model thing, you know, I still probably have the shape for it. But,
all right.
Yeah. But you know, it just didn't seem to be the path as I got on, because one of the things I learned shortly after high school is I love teaching. So that's where this whole thing came about, was about teaching. And I tend to do it, you know, whether I want to or not. I'm always instructing somebody on something, even if it's how to use Excel or whatever it is. But that's where it started. I wanted to be a teacher, and then it evolved into teaching personal finance, because I really, really am adamant about helping people plant their money trees and have that cushion in life and not get so caught up in the world, because we can get so caught up. You lose your dreams, you lose your money, you lose your shirt off your back, you know?
Exactly. Well, you know, I love the story that you tell about how you started AJM. So share that story with everybody, because it just goes to show you about being persistent and being prepared.
Yes, definitely. Well, this got started a number of years ago. I wanted to do this, and I went back to school, and then I went back to school again. And at that point, I said, what am I going to do? You know, what's going to be the name and all of that? You know, and at that time, everybody who was a solopreneur, it was your name. So that's basically where it came from. And I just used the initials and, you know, switch them around a little, as you can see. But it really came from wanting to be able to help people, first of all. And I love to talk. So who wouldn't like to stand up in front of a group of people that you can help if you like to talk? So that's what it came about. So when I went back to school the first time, I focused on, you know, part of the major, but the other thing is I took an elective, which was oral communications. And when I took that class, and it just opened up a whole new door for me. And I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to present all the time. And, you know, that's what I sent you things on, you know, about presenting to different groups, whether it's, you know, children or, you know, college students, women, you know, church groups. I love teaching this personal finance. So this is kind of like my passion. So I started
And back in
I think it was 17.
2017, yeah, 2017, when we met in Atlanta, I think you were just starting because you tell the story about leaving your job, leaving your job, and how you got started in putting your efforts into AJM Financial. Talk about
Yes.
that.
Yes. Well, at that time, I was still working a day job. So when I
Hmm.
met you, I was working a day job. But 2 years later, I found out I was being restructured out of that day job. So, I love to talk about that story because sometimes it's funny to me. And I know that to some people, that would not be a funny situation, having to lose their job. But I think about it often. I share it with, family and friends. I just shared it with a friend yesterday that I actually prayed for this. I
Mm,
wanted to be able to work on my business full time. I did not want to be in the office. I never really did. Like I said, I wanted to be a model and a singer. So, 9 to 5 wasn't even on the radar.
that's right.
Somehow, as life happens, you get pushed into things or you do certain things or whatever. And so it was time to go. I've been working for a long time doing that and at that particular company. So I was just ready to go. So being restructured was not a bad thing for me. But as you
Mhm.
know, you still have to be prepared for things. And a lot of people are not prepared for any type of an emergency because an emergency doesn't have to be you losing your job.
Right.
Structure was not a bad thing for me. But as you
Mhm.
know, you still have to be prepared for things. And a lot of people are not prepared for any type of an emergency because an emergency doesn't have to be you losing your job,
Right.
be a busted tire, anything, with whatever you own. So I really wanted to work on this full time. And after the leave, that's what I started focusing on.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, COVID hit. So I still had to pivot like everybody else and change a few things. So I sat and thought about it. What can I do to, help move this or at least, get my face out there more and, so people can see. And that's when I thought about YouTube because, again, I like to talk. So I get to talk uninterrupted for 15 minutes because that's the limit. I do go a little over, but I added that, and
Hmm.
before that, I was, just going to networking events, meeting different people and, be invited to their particular seminars or workshops. When we met, I had done a presentation for two of those, the local chapters. One local chapter, but I did a presentation twice. So just the consistency of doing that helps you kind of move forward with your business to gain clients and to gain some work even with corporations or whether they're nonprofit or not. So that's the focus of the dream of just saying I'm really right now I'm getting to do that. Talking
Wow.
on the show. um,
Yeah.
I've been, I've had two organizations that reached out. I work with them to work in their programs. One of them is an organization that helps women who have micro businesses. They go through a 16-week program, so they need to talk about personal finance, and that
Hmm.
was me. So, I really enjoy, that type of thing. And adding to that, I've also written articles for a newspaper. Now, that wasn't on the radar.
All right.
Thinking about it, but I do like to write. I like to talk. So now I'm just
Mhm.
doing it, in written. And doing those just added a whole nother side to everything. Those articles for the Atlanta Voice, it was about 12 articles for them, and
Mhm.
the DeKalb Free Press, it was turned into a two-part. The
Wow.
editor said your answers were so good, I had to make this a two-part. So
Oh, wow.
so I was really appreciative of that. So I'm looking at all of those avenues at this point of being able to write and speak and talk about it to anybody who will listen and take the advice to get and be prepared. I hate harping on the pandemic and it's COVID,
Hmm.
but it's real. None of
Hmm.
us expected it at first I was like, okay, we'll get over it, but we're into year, what is it, year two for the most part? Yeah,
Mhm.
the whole, basically the whole of last year, and now we're into it, and we're in September.
That's right.
What is 2022 gonna look like?
That's
So
right.
I work on it for a reason, because you don't know the I think the bottom or the fallout from this whole pandemic is still not over. You're looking at
Mhm.
great resignation, everybody's leaving, or people are being let go, or jobs haven't come back, or businesses couldn't bounce back. They actually had to go out of business. This is not over.
It's not. And one of the things that I love about you is that you were able to pivot. In this climate, in the season in which we are in, you have to be able to reset and you have to be able to pivot to make that change. So if something comes and knocks you off your feet, you've got to be able to say, okay, let me turn this around. And being a personal financial advisor slash instructor, what do you tell your clients in this season about, making that shift?
Well, one of the first things I really do work with people on it's one of the easiest things to do, but our head, we get in our own heads, and people get, stifled, I can't do this, and or I don't know what to put down. And if you give them a is leaving, or people are being let go, or jobs haven't come back, or businesses couldn't bounce back, they actually had to go out of business. This is not over.
It's not. And one of the things that I love about you is that you were able to pivot. In this climate, in the season in which we are in, you have to be able to reset and you have to be able to pivot to make that change. So if something comes and knocks you off your feet, you've got to be able to say, okay, let me turn this around. And being a personal financial advisor slash instructor, what do you tell your clients in this season about, making that shift? What are some of the things that you advise them on?
Well, one of the first things I really do work with people on is creating a budget. You would not believe how many people do not know how to create a budget in 2021. And it's one of the easiest things to do, but our head, we get in our own heads, and people get, stifled, I can't do this, and or I don't know what to put down. And if you give them a guide, they try to use the whole thing. I really try to get you to do it from grandma's or great grandma's point of view, the way they did. You remember they used to put their money on the table and give
Mm-hmm.
you how it was going to go. They were budgeting their money.
Money.
But
Yeah.
today you can do that on paper. And I try to get people to do it that way first, especially if you don't know a program like Excel. You can do this pen and paper because it never crashes. So you
Exactly.
never have to worry about losing anything. You have your notebook, you have your pen, pencil, because you need to see exactly what you have coming in and where your money is going. I don't need
Mm-hmm.
to see it because I already know, to be honest. As soon as I see your stuff, I could have told you this, and this. I know there's something, because people I've worked with in the past, some of them were high salary folks, and I'm like, okay, so you have this and you still don't have, you're not making ends meet. How come? That's the question. And that
Mm-hmm.
budget will make you see how come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You'll see
And
exactly where it's going.
yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I remember for me, it's getting envelopes. Now this is the old school. Getting envelopes
Yeah.
and putting that was few years ago. When I say a few years ago, 5 maybe 10 years ago, but putting envelopes, and each envelope was labeled with what that was for. Even my savings, until I went to the bank. Of course, I kind of lost all of that, and I wish I may have to go back to that. But what you're saying is so real. One of the things I want to ask you about, as you are living your dream, what is your driving force? What drives you?
Mm. I think it's the passion about teaching. I have I want to say a knack almost, that you have to get this. You have to get it. I be that teacher. We're gonna sit here till 9 o'clock at night until we get this done because
Mm-hmm.
you need to learn. I had teachers growing up that they didn't give you answers.
Mm.
I remember I asked, I think I was in maybe the sixth grade. I asked the teacher, I said, "How do you spell secretary?" That person said to me, "Do you know how to spell secret?" I said, "Yes." They said, "Put ARY at the end."
Mm-hmm.
No SEC, none of that.
Right.
They didn't write
Right.
anything. They made me think. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I want for other people. I want you to think. Think about it. Stop and think about what you're doing. Stop and think about this. So that's kind of the driving force for me because this is really not hard. It's really about you just doing it. It really
Mm-hmm.
isn't that hard. So the passion about is that when I see the light bulb go off for someone,
Mm-hmm.
whoever it is, that they've either called me or they've written me or they texted me and said, "Guess what? I just paid off my car. Guess what? I just paid off, my credit card bill. Or guess what? I have some savings or I have my budget straight." When I hear that, that's when I'm happy.
Wow. Michelle, you brought some pictures for us to share, and I want you to kind of tell us about those pictures, because I know it's you teaching,
Yeah.
as you so passionately love to do and have expressed here. Tiana, you have the pictures.
Yes, I had the opportunity to speak at a career day, and it was just a thrill when I got that phone call. I mean, I was like high to heaven. It was just exciting. I did say, I need the oldest kids in that school, and it's a middle school, but that
Mm-hmm.
was the class that I taught that was that grade, and they were awesome. They ate it up, and I had a little presentation for them so they can follow along with some things. But that was one of the best days for me.
Wow. And then you have this other picture. Now that's another class.
Yes, that was the highlight of my year. And 2 weeks before that, or a week before that, I found out that I was being restructured out of that day job. But you know what? Why I didn't care? Because that was the next week. That was me presenting at I believe, a Greek group at Georgia Tech.
Hmm.
So to get into the college to be able to
Mm-hmm.
do that, I was excited. You couldn't tell me anything.
All right.
I was on cloud nine, and the class
I
was pretty full, so I was
That's
happy
good.
about that. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. And so here you are. This is Tuesday Talks with Mimi. No,
No, no.
no, this is not the one.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. It's okay. That's okay. I should have explained that a little further, but just being on shows like this. And this
Mm-hmm.
was another show that I was on, which was one of the second shows I had been on, which I mean, I was just excited to be invited. So, there, and that's my newspaper article I'm there with, we're going to talk about that. So I was just excited, to have that time and be on the show. So that's why I said, anytime you call me, I'm there.
Yeah, and I
I'm
can
there.
say that. I can say that because when
Yeah.
we talk, it's just like we haven't seen each other in what? Now we didn't see each other last year. We didn't see each other the year before. So we haven't seen each other in about 2, 3 years. But
Yes.
we have talked, and so that has been great just to keep in touch. And again, I do want to tell you happy belated birthday because you just had a
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yeah,
it. Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes.
Thank you for being so supportive. Now let's talk about this. We have a question here from a student. It says, "How have you given back to the community through your workshops or through AJM Financial?"
Ooh, that's a good one because I feel like that's all that's being done while it's still growing. Because in the beginning, I would host free workshops at our local libraries here.
Mm,
So I've done a few of those, and I did at least three from the like as a series. So we start, back to basics, and then we go on to step by step, and then it goes kind of to retirement. So things you can do moving through your life, decades in your career. So that was one incident. I volunteer at several organizations. One, I've done a workshop for it was domestic two domestic violence. Did a
mm-hmm,
workshop for them earlier this year and had done work with another organization in the past. And there's another organization that helps um, families in this county if they are, say they're about to be evicted or someone loses a job, you need income to help you, get through or catch up on your rent or things like that. And that's all
Mm-hmm.
I did was their financial management program. So that's all volunteer. For the most part, you are giving back to the community in that sense. And another organization that I volunteer with to this day, doing the workshops, and we've done one-on-one coaching this year because of COVID. So
Wow.
that is the giving back. Trust
That
me.
is, wow, that is exciting.
Yeah.
Anytime you're able to give back and you have your dream, you're living your dream. I mean, that's the ultimate. That is the ultimate thing that to be doing. So let's talk about this. How do you feel? Do you feel that you've reached your lifelong dream, or there's more?
Yes and no. So there's more. There's more because I'm not at the level that I truly want to be at doing this, kind of getting it still off the ground. So, I know that's coming. And like I said, with the, being on YouTube, that is, to me, that's production. And very well, you have to
Oh.
get the video together, get the content together, and then the writing. That was so unexpected when I was, asked, would I mind writing? And I'm like, of course not. You asking me to write for a paper that's passed out to people in this city?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, published. Oh yeah. So I see much more coming. So I'm not there yet, but I'm grateful for this time, as you said, being able to live this part out that you kind of prayed for. It didn't happen exactly the way I thought it would be, but no matter how the exit came, I'm still here.
Oh, wow. Now that's it. You can't even top that. You're still here. I
I'm
tell
still
you, and as you're talking about that, and I love that because as you said, you shifted. You had to shift with everything that's going on, the pandemic and everything that's going on. You had to make a change, a shift. And a lot of people now are realizing, just like you said, with the great resignation, a lot of people are saying, you know what? I'm going to live my life. And what I see you doing, and what I see the other folks that I will be talking with all this month, is that you're saying, you know what? I'm going to live my life. I'm going to live this dream. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to persevere. We're going to get it done. And we're going to be at the height, the pinnacle of my life. And so I love that. I really love that of what you're able to do. Now I wanted to ask you about the advice that you would have for viewers. What advice would you have for them right now?
I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to keep saying it so somebody says, I got it. Please save some money. If you don't save all of your money, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and we were talking about, and I could be transparent about this, being restructured out of my day job. I'm not at the age where I can collect Social Security,
Mm.
so there is nothing but this. And had I not taken the steps I had over the years of my life, not just a week before I decided to leave or whenever, because to me, my day of deciding to leave was when I started in the workforce period, because I wanted to be the model or singer.
Hmm.
But had I not taken those steps of learning about personal finance and just starting to save something, you don't have to save everything. I started out with $50 saving because that was what I had to pay for so-called rent when I was living at home when I got my first job. And when I
Uh-huh.
told my mom I was gonna, be moving, and she said, well, you can keep the $50. And the first thing I did, and this is at 18, I went to the bank and opened an account.
Mm.
So most people would say, well, I'm gonna go hang out because I have an extra $50. At 18,
Hmm.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about, let me save this money so when it's time to move, I can move. you know
Right.
you have moving expenses no matter how small the stuff you have, no matter how large the stuff you have. So being consistent with that and saving and starting will help you through so many things, because I can't imagine if I had not done those things, what would things look like now. I
That's
tell
right.
people I still eat every day and I'm still in my home. So
Amen.
I'm grateful for all that, first of all, the Most High has done for me, but all that I've done to follow that path and talk about saving and budgeting. Budgeting is not a bad word. Saving is not a bad word. Not
Hmm.
to me, FOMO is a bad word, fear of missing out. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about your future, because back then there were pensions and all of that, there's none of that coming your way, especially if you are talking to me from a college and you're a student. Pensions have been gone. They were gone before I left the workforce. So you have nothing but Social Security in you. And
Yeah.
if you just rely on Social Security, you're in trouble, because
Yeah.
you're not getting a raise every year. You get what, cost of living increase
That's it.
every other year, and that's not even enough to cover the cost of food right now.
That's right. And with you saying about Social Security, and we can do another show on this, is yesterday that it just came out. They say that Social Security may be gone. It's running out.
Because of the
So
pandemic.
what are people going to do? So Michelle, you're going to have to come back on because, we're coming to the end of the year. And I always ask you as we get ready for the beginning of the year, and maybe at the beginning of the year, that's when you'll come back to get us on track. What do we need to do? What are some of those things that we need to be doing right now? Because this is September. December
Right.
is right here at us.
If you're unemployed, you have to start thinking about what else you can do, because a lot of times people get stuck in what they do. Sometimes you have to do something else. I'm not above going to work someplace else. Even in the meantime, I had another same friend who told me about a friend of hers who was working at, I think, a Ross, and she was at the coat, not the coat check, the dress check or whatever it is when you go to try
Mm-hmm.
on your clothes. And why not? Even if it's not what you've done before, and maybe you'll feel a certain way, but if it's going to bring in money where you can put food on the table, there's
Why
no.
not? Why not?
The other thing is, again, sit down and assess your situation. Look at your finances, look at your money, because some people don't even realize what they bring in. They just, especially now, you don't cash a check like before. Everything's direct deposited. So
That's
some people don't even know how much they make. I never thought about this until I came to your class and I'm like, really? I need to know what's coming in here.
mm-hmm.
And you
Mm-hmm.
need to plan for it. And again, to save and plan. I tell people too to have a spending plan. I shop too. I mean, not now because I'm not going to the store, but I shop too. But when I go shopping, that money has already been accounted for. And when I go, I'm free as a bird. I buy whatever I want until that envelope runs out. Because I wanted to round back to what you said. I still use envelopes.
You do.
I use envelopes to
All
this
right.
day. Ask the people behind me in line at the supermarket, because I'm like, no, this is separate. I know the person behind me is annoyed because all my stuff is on the belt. And then I'm like, there's something separate, because this money is this section is food. So I have
Mm-hmm.
food money. But then the
Mm-hmm.
section behind me may be toiletries or household, and I pay for that. Because when the envelope is empty, you can't overspend.
That is true. That is true. You know what? I heard you say something, and I did want to ask you about it because you said when you were 18, you started saving your $50. Where did you get that from? Was that instilled in you? Who inspired you to do that?
My grandmother. That was her favorite thing to say, and because my mom always used to say, well, my mother always said, if you just save $1 a week, you have $52 at the end of the year, and back then that was
Mm-hmm.
a little chunk of
Yep,
change, right?
yep, yep.
So I didn't always do it at first, but I did try. I shouldn't say that, because my first job at 17, not my full-time corporate job, but I made $90 a week. And I made that $90 work, and I had to pay $10 rent.
Wow,
But
wow.
I had lunch every day. I was able to get back to that job every day, and I was able to prepare for me to go into the corporate world. So I got that from her, and she was good at saving her money and not passing on, just having a lot of debt and things like that. Because back then they didn't grow up with a bunch of credit cards to have debt.
That's right. That's right. So you're here, get rid of those credit cards, y'all. That's all I can say.
Well, let me add this though. I wouldn't just say get rid of them. Be mindful of this. When I'm buying something, I probably have the money for it already. That was the
Mm.
story of my first laptop that I got. I had to do that. So when the bill came, all I had to do was pay it. Just cut the
Wow.
check and keep going. That's
Just
how you do it.
That's how you do it. Well, listen, you're gonna come back on. I'm gonna have you come back on the beginning of the year, so we can hash this out and get ready for the new year of 2022, so that Michelle will be here teaching us all about finance. Listen, the last thing I'm going to ask you: what are the 3 words, Michelle, that describe you?
Well, I am going to say steady. because I've been staying steady with that savings since you heard 18. So
Mm-hmm.
that's something. And I'm adamant. I'm very adamant about people getting this, and especially people who may not have had this at any point in their lives. They need to
Mm-hmm.
have it now, and I'm adamant about that. And I've been told, and sometimes I do crack myself up that I'm funny.
Yes, you are.
I, I'm just I'm just keeping it real because, it's important. It's
You
really
are. You are. Michelle, listen, steady, adamant, and funny. That is you, and I can attest to that, knowing you all these years. And I love what you said about FOMA, the fear of missing out. So we want to remember that as well. Michelle, listen, as always, we can talk all night long, and I just appreciate you so, so much. Thank you for being on the show again, and thank you for all of your support and always tuning
yes,
in to the show.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah, listen,
Thank you for having me, Tammy.
oh, as always. Well, you're coming back. You're the financial expert. So for Tammy, so you're coming back, and I look forward to seeing you in the new year, and hopefully we'll meet each other in Atlanta
Yes,
next
I'm
year
looking forward to it. I'll
in
come
person.
outside for that.
Yeah, how about that in person?
Yes,
Yeah, take care of yourself, Michelle. Love you,
you
and thank
too.
you so much.
Yes, thank you, Tammy.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye bye.
Wow, I tell you what, great show. Didn't I tell you the power of dreams? This is the start of the series, y'all, and I'm just so excited. Michelle Alexander, again, I want to thank her. She is of AJM, the owner of AJM Financial LLC, and she's the host of Tuesday Talks with Mimi on YouTube. Check her out. Okay, we're going to be back with Mrs. Alicia Simmons Hobson and talking about the power of dreams. We'll be right back.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com.
Welcome back to the show. All right, we're talking about the power of dreams. If you're just joining us, we just had Michelle Alexander, the personal financial instructor, as well as the owner of AJM Financial LLC, and she also is the talk show host for Tuesday Talks with Mimi. So now, I want to introduce you to someone very special. First of all, she's a mother, she's a daughter, she is a sister. She's a friend. She's a producer, a television producer. She is the CEO of Family Engagement Support Services. I always have to get that right because all I know is it's FESS, FESS, okay? She's also the CEO of Simmons and Associates. All right, now and she's also the owner of One Step at a Time Creative Arts. When I tell you she's fabulous, she danced with Alvin Ailey. She's done all these wonderful things, and now she's living out her dreams as always. Coming back from backstage. Come on, Miss Alicia Simmons Hobson. You're on mute.
Hey, I'm back.
Hey,
How are
hey.
you?
Fine. How are you?
I am exhausted, but I am so happy to be on your show. You know, I'm always very supportive of who you are and how our dreams are coming true.
Yeah, well, I'm so grateful to you, Alicia. You mean a lot to me. We have that bond. We've always had it for many, many years. That sisterhood that we have, and so I'm so grateful that you are on the show. Alicia, first of all, I want to say thank you for joining the show. For those that don't know, Alicia has not been feeling well. No, she does not have COVID. She's been vaccinated, but she'll tell you that COVID story another time. But we want to thank you for being on the show because I know the voice and you were talking about it and ask you, hey, you sure you want to come on? But I want to talk to you because when we talk about dreams coming true, just like with Michelle, dreams coming true. I mean, when I say you danced with Alvin Ailey, you did all these things. Come on now. When you were young, and this is the question that I asked Michelle, when you were young, what did you dream your future would be like?
You ready?
Uh-huh.
A fierce gang leader.
What?
Now
Are you
everyone's
kidding?
probably going, "What? What is she talking? A gang leader?" I've always wanted to be one that was in charge, and
Mm,
I had an opportunity to have that privilege way back in the day. But it was just something about being the person to empower people. So when I say gang leader at that time in the 70s, telling our age now,
age, yeah.
um, that was part of me trying to get that power. But when God has a dream or God has something destined for you, it will switch it all around.
Hmm.
And I would say that living in New York City, trying to live a double life, trying to be that hardcore gang, hanging out with the bad people and things of that nature, and trying to be a Jehovah's Witness. And on the other side of it, I don't know how I made it through, but I know it was God and the dreams that I would have as a little girl and never understood and never talked about it. And that's
Wow.
a problem. Hmm.
And those dreams that you had, were they dreams of you being a gangster or more of a leader, like the
More of
president of the United States?
never the president of the United States, but it would always be that I would talk to people in gangs, people that were underserved, women and children. It was always just a lot of people that were going through.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that's also what pulled me away from wanting to be a gang leader. But it was just always God. Again, I didn't know what God was back then. So let's just take that out of the equation right now. But the dreams was always me centered with a group of people or crowds of people that were just needing things.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
just never understood it, never questioned it, and just said, "Oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to do."
But
No.
look at you now. Look at you now. And the thing about that is, and we have talked about this because, I tell people, I'm a Christian. I love the Lord
Mhm.
always.
Mhm.
And one thing that we know is what's for you is for you. What God has for you is for you.
Mhm.
And so I look at you, Alicia, and I know your story growing up in Brooklyn, coming to Charleston, not liking Charleston, of course, but anyway, um,
Mhm.
but starting all of these businesses. For instance, I know that you were the first at the Citadel to help the women and men who were in the janitorial services in the laundry room and all become united.
Mhm. Mhm.
Talk
Yeah.
about that story.
That was a very, working at the Citadel, as we know the story back then. I think that was back in 1998, 99, somewhere around there. Long story short, I was over, we had different departments that we had to empower, make sure everything was okay. And I had the opportunity to work with the women and men in the laundry. And me being a New Yorker, still had that New York mentality. And I'm walking in, and everyone's having their heads down and kind of peeking up at me. And they were wearing uniforms, and it did something to me.
Hmm.
And I was in HR at that time, and I asked them. I said, "Okay, you guys are going to have your performance review. So let's go over how you would review with your supervisor." They say, "Oh, all we do is sign the paper."
Ooh.
I said, "What do you mean you just sign it?" Yeah, they just tell us to sign here. So that right there did something to me to actually say, "No, let me teach you what is supposed to be done so you're prepared and also be able to speak up for yourself." They didn't have that mentality. They were like, "No, we're good, we're good." Well, that wasn't good enough for me. That just kind of just sparked something to me. Oh no, we're not having this. So I started to teach them about the performance evaluation, and it was interesting to note that most of them couldn't read,
Mm.
which was
Mm.
very interesting. And most of them have been in their positions for over 30 to 40 years.
Wow.
So, with identifying that, I met with the HR director and also the president at that time. I think it was President Grimble at that time, and said
Mm-hmm.
we need to have some training classes to empower these employees that need a little bit more help. Well, that's how it impacted the Citadel as a whole. We started to have employee training classes, down to teaching them how to, those that were forthcoming stating that they couldn't read, we'll have our little private classes. But I started doing computer classes. Well, why did I do that? Next day they know, they called me Moses.
Come on, Moses.
I was the Moses, let my people go. And it started to empower them when they were starting to now apply for other positions within the Citadel.
Mm-hmm.
They
Mm-hmm.
started to think about what could my future look like if I had an education.
Mm-hmm.
One young lady actually went back to nursing school and became a nurse.
Wow.
So again,
Wow.
it was just I was always the type that if I saw something in you, and I thank God for it now that He gives me that sense of discernment to see what He sees in us, and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of empower you to do more. So the
Mm-hmm.
civil was a huge. I mean, I lost a lot of friends. I was
Oh,
hated, but it came with the territory, but it didn't bother me.
right, right.
So, yeah, that was one
That's
of the impactful stories.
That's right, because you're that New Yorker. You got, first of all, that's first and foremost.
Right.
You're from New York, so you already had, as you said, you already had the attitude. Listen, nobody's gonna mess with me. And I'm gonna help everybody. And as you said, having those dreams. So now your dreams have become a reality. Talk about the dream of helping people and where you are now.
Ooh. Helping people actually started as teaching dance to the underserved population, being one of the first African American students in my middle school to go into the high school of performing arts. It was all a joke. It was a game thing. If you make it in the performing arts, then you can get out the game.
Hmm.
Never had a dance class. I mean, professional dance class, was trained at my middle school, and I was the first to obtain, be able to go to the high school performing arts. And for those people that are our age, that's fame. I want to live
And we did ever.
forever.
Yeah. Debbie Allen
Right.
and Leroy.
And attending that school, in my dreams, I never wanted to be a professional dancer.
Wow.
And I mean, I was pretty good. Not, I was a pretty good dancer, but I always wanted to teach.
Mm.
So I remember opening up my first dance school, not even knowing, into projects in the Bronx. I think I charged maybe $10 to come to class, or free or whatever. And the students that came in droves, and to teach them ballet and jazz and tap, giving them technique, and to see the kids' eyes just open up. I said, okay, I guess it's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be a dance teacher. So that sparked me. Open up every time I move somewhere. I open up a dance school. Walterboro, Charleston, Harlem. I'll just open up a dance school, not knowing. And that's the other thing with our dreams. When we look at our dreams, we just see the surface of it.
Mm-hmm.
And now you ask where I'm at now. Now being a sanctified, saved woman, and me and my Lord, I ask questions. I just ask him a lot of questions. And the further that, the more questions that I ask, the more answers I get. So now that I am the CEO of Family Engagement and Support Services, it stemmed from me working for the South Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, was the administrator, and I watched how we were helping people. Now, Tammy, I'm an administrator, making good money and so forth, but the dream was that wasn't enough. I had
Mm-hmm.
to be in the roots of what I was doing. So I'm saying, you telling me to leave my job and do what? Get into the roots. And that's what I did. I left it and left the South Carolina Department of Health and Human Services, and actually opened up my own company with my husband and I. And now we're in the grassroots where we're helping people stay out of the nursing homes and to stay into their homes, which is a program that
Wow.
many of us don't know about.
Hmm.
So constantly I get calls from everywhere. How can I help my mother? She's 96 years old. We don't want to put her in a nursing home. What can we do? So now it's branching off that now I'm sharing my knowledge. Whether you become my client or not, I in turn am empowering those to keep their family members at home.
Hmm. Wow. So Alicia, what is it like being a woman of so many talents? What is it like? I mean, do you feel that it's a burden, or what are your thoughts on that?
At one time, I did feel like it was a burden because I was trying to do everything for everyone and not taking care of myself. And the biggest thing that we do is we keep thinking that it's us, and it's not. It's the Spirit of God that He's put in us. What it says, I can do all things through who that
Through
strengthens
Christ
me.
that
Right.
strengthens us. Hmm.
And I was trying to do everything. I was being burned out. I was being sick, and I'm just doing all this stuff because I'm doing what God's saying. So I'm just all over the place, just all over the place. So COVID hit, and I had no other choice but to sit down with my God and ask Him, "Hey, listen, how am I going to continue to do this being at home?
Hmm.
I'm overwhelmed. I still want to do Your will and so forth. How do I do this?" And it just got bigger where I became part of a Facebook group for domestic violence. And to hear the women crying out and their
Hmm.
experience, I was able to facilitate a few, of the programs that we had. And it just made me just really push myself, but I'm also learning about self care. I've been everyone's superwoman.
Hmm. Yep, we all
I
have.
have a cape, a t shirt, the power symbol, Wakanda forever,
Changing in the booth.
changing in the booth, coming back out because Alicia's going to make it happen. And people started to rely on that. And when we do that, we actually hinder their growth. So, in part of what the dreams was telling me, it wasn't about helping those to a point that they needed me. It was helping them to become what they are supposed to be.
Mm.
So one of the last dreams I had, and I believe I shared it with you, God showed me as a midwife.
Mm.
Because some of us are carrying dreams that God has given us, and we are scared to go through the labor pains. We are scared to take the opportunity. As we know, when you give birth, some people just go ahead and push the baby out, the gift is here. Some people be in labor 20 years, and then some of us abort the baby or our
Mm.
dreams because it's too hard.
Mm.
I was one of those. Now I'm learning that the birth pains is going to birth something so spectacular, so wonderful, that I have to go through the 9 months of carrying this gift or this dream.
Hmm.
I may have to go through 24 hours or 48 hours of labor, but I don't, and I want to be very clear with this. We're not elephants that we carry our babies. Well, how long they carry? I think 2 years or a
Two
year,
years, something like
2 years.
that. Hmm.
Some of us are doing that with our dreams because one, we ain't got no money. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. I know the Lord said to do it, but He didn't tell me how to do it. Yes, He did. He said, have faith.
Hmm.
So, Alicia, the person that I am, the risk taker, now I'm a faith jumper. And that's how I got where I am. Father, you said that I can do this. I'm going to do this. And I just jump. And you know
Mm.
what the beautiful thing is? His hand is right there catching me. And I feel so good and I'm able to accomplish what I can do, what I do.
Wow. Wow. What an analogy. I'm thinking about that, and we all go through things because it's funny about how dreams really can really come become reality. And
Mm-hmm.
when I'm talking about dreams, as you and I have been talking about this as a team, it's not so much what you said, like what you've been dreaming about since you were a young child. It may be something that someone says
Mm-hmm.
you're good at.
Right.
I love the way you do bam. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and it comes to the point where, as you said, we have to take that just that little inch of what somebody says
Mm-hmm.
and say, I'm going to do it. Just like for the instance, same thing what we're talking about now. Alicia, you're the producer of the show,
Mm-hmm.
executive producer. When I told you, sis, I want to go back on television, I didn't know how that was going to happen. Let me tell you, folks, I didn't know.
Right.
And you and I talked about this. I didn't even tell people that it was a year anniversary. August the 20th,
Right.
was my year anniversary on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
But what you said to me, I'll never forget. You said, sis, if you don't take the leap now, when will you do it?
Right.
If
Right.
you don't do it now, then when? And
Right.
so I love the fact that you have taken everything. I mean, I've seen you go, now you live in a penthouse. You know what I'm saying? And that's the truth, y'all. I mean, from the little girl in the Bronx, in the projects, she lives in a penthouse. Hey, we can't make this
It's
stuff up.
it's all of faith, faith walk. I'm laughing because my kids just text me talking about it's not Brooklyn. You from the Bronx.
We're
Your
the
husband's from
Bronx, the
Brooklyn.
Bronx.
Gotta
Yeah, and
represent
look,
the
the boogie.
Bronx.
And listen, and I should remember that, my nieces. It's the boogie down
All
Bronx.
right. Yes, yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. Yeah,
We were it's interesting because it is true, and it's not the penthouse, but it is a luxury apartment that we're
it's a
blessed
penthouse.
with.
Y'all, it's a
But we
penthouse.
had to be strategic in how we did it. Um, so again, to be able to be blessed to have a home in Charleston and also in Charlotte was all a faith walk because my budget don't say this. My budget don't
Oh,
say this at all.
okay, Michelle.
Okay, yeah, Michelle, my budget said negative X, Y, Z. But I also know what my God said. So I went by what my God said, and I'm here. But I just want to encourage everyone in your dreams. Sometimes we take too long or try to think it out, take years and years and years trying to figure out what the dream means. Some of us go to other people to get answers. There's nothing wrong with it. I speak to my pastor and my apostle all the time. But the point is, we never see what other people see in us.
That's true.
If it wasn't for Denise Robinson, my dance teacher in middle school, that was like, girl, you know you don't belong in no gang, and your daddy is a Jehovah's Witness, so you can just sit your little tail down and bring yourself into this class. And I rolled my eyes and sucked my teeth and the whole nine. And she just pulled my little self in a dance class. If she didn't see what she saw in me, I could be dead right now. I could be in a gang or just being stupid out there. But if Denise Robinson and Felton Johnson, my principal, that used to get on me and saw something that I didn't see in myself, if it wasn't for my father and my mother that kept saying, her head is so hard, Lord have mercy with her, but there's something about her, and they didn't even know because I was just out there.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to just take it for what it is. You know, it's just I don't even know how to go. When I look at my own children, I see things in them that I haven't even expressed to me because sometimes we're not mature enough for that part of the dream.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
God will give us a glimpse because our maturity level is not where it needs to be. You have to understand where you are in your dream. He will show you as the time goes by how it's progressing and what you need to do. But
Yeah.
that one little part with me teaching dance to kids, that's all I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life. Just teach
Mm.
dance. So I just got sick of it, which was very interesting. I was like, these little baby kids, and they want to do the nay nay and twerk, and I'm trying to go, no, first position, first position, relevated, looking at me like, nah, we wanna,
We want to get down.
yeah, they cool that quickly. I said, no, this is not for me anymore. So sometimes you just gotta ride that dream train and always ask yourself, what am I supposed to get from this lesson or this part of my life
Hmm.
to move
Hmm.
forward to the next part of my dream?
Because we all have a purpose. And I know what your purpose is because you've always been there helping everybody. Now, one thing I can say about Alicia, she's going to help everybody. Just like Michelle, they're going to help everybody. Any and everybody they can help, they're going to do it. And
Mhm.
so that's the one thing that I think that it's a part of the process when you become in and developed into who you are and what your purpose is. And a lot of people just don't know what their purpose is, unfortunately, and they're not listening to
Mhm.
hear what their purpose is. I love talking to people. That's what I love to do. I love make people laugh.
Right, right, right.
I love helping people.
Hmm.
And so I said, okay, God, so that's my purpose. So how do as Nicholas Hill said, Dr. Hill said last week, how do I take my passion and my purpose and make it work?
Right, right.
What's the feel?
Hmm. But I think the other thing is that we take too much time trying to figure out what that purpose is.
Hmm.
So, okay, I got all these gifts, God. So, what do you want me to do? You want me to do this and that? And sometimes just as simple as you said, just listening and just doing, if it's just helping someone out. Like after the show, I'm going to walk downtown Charlotte and I love to watch the homeless people.
Mm.
And I don't know why. And I walk back. I said, all right, God, now I'm out here looking at homeless people. So, something wrong with me. But it draws. Something about them draws. I'm just like drawn to them. So again, I don't know if you know this, but I'm back in school.
Hmm. Mm.
And I'm gonna tell y'all that was not in a dream. And when I was doing my prayer, God's like, "Yep, you have to go back to school." I was like, "Oh, you know how you go? Oh God, that can't be you, Lord. You know I'm finished with school. I already got a master's. Now I need another master's."
Another mess? Yeah.
So I'm doing that as well because I need to be licensed and I also need to have the skill set because God has shown me that I am going to be helping people on a mental health level.
Mm.
So I can't just go in there willy nilly. I want to make sure I have the right credentials, the right understanding, the education, so I can take this dream to the level that God is going to take it because it's much greater than my little mind can even fathom.
Hmm. Wow. Sis, I can talk to you all
Oh,
night long. Just like I said to Michelle, we can talk all night long, and we usually do
yes, we
sometimes.
do.
And so, I want to find out from you what's next for Alicia.
To finish school.
Okay. Okay. Finish school. All right.
Finish school, and I definitely want to go into private practice. My main thing is to help domestic violence victims and, believe it or not, which was very interesting, the abusers.
Hmm. Yeah. They
They're,
need help too,
yeah, yeah.
male or
As
female.
well.
They need help.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Sis, I tell you what, I can ask you a lot of questions, but the last thing, what are 3 words that describe you?
Off the chain, off the chain, off the chain. Okay.
I'm putting one that's off the chain. Okay.
um, a faith walker,
Hmm.
and I think the last one is just having that entrepreneur, godly spirit. And that's 3 words.
Godly spirit.
Hmm.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, I put off the chain was one. Faith walker, entrepreneur, godly spirit. So you got four. You have four.
I
You
tell
know
you,
what?
go for it.
It is so great. I mean, this segment of Power of Dreams, I'm so excited. And I want to bring Michelle back in before we close out. Um, hey, Michelle, just you're back with us.
Hi,
Listen,
can you hear
yeah,
me?
yeah,
Yes.
we
Okay,
can hear you.
awesome.
I
Okay,
just wanted to
good.
bring you back in to tell you again, thank you. This first series of Powerful Dreams, you ladies have made it very special. And I just want to tell you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you
Yes.
both so much.
We love you
Hey,
too. And that's my New York sister. You know, I was dying to say that.
Now, Michelle, my husband from Brooklyn. You know, Brooklyn and Bronx don't roll like that. But
That's
you
okay.
still my sister, though.
That's
You
right.
call me that.
I love her.
I love, and there's your information, Michelle, as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Listen, you all have a great night. We're going to close out the show while the three of you are on. And Michelle, maybe you got a little humming you want to do for us before we close out.
And I'll dance.
Okay,
Yeah, and
great. I can't even think of a song right now. I'm
well,
too
I
excited.
know I caught you off the spots, but you remember that for January,
Yes,
okay?
I will. I have
All right.
one.
All right, Tiana, I know you're backstage. I want to thank
Thank you,
Tiana. I tell you what, the
Tiana.
assistant producer Tiana, she's great. And remember, folks, please subscribe to the Tammy TV show. And
Yes.
that's what it's called, Tammy TV show on YouTube. Remember, be a blessing to somebody today and every day. And take care of yourself. Pray for Louisiana, New York, New Jersey. Just pray for our country and our world. Okay? Afghanistan, everything that's going on. Please keep them in prayer. And I'll keep you in prayer as well. Until the next time, take care of yourself. Bye, Alicia. Bye, Michelle. Bye,
Bye. Good
Tiana. Bye,
night.
everybody. Thank you for joining us. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.
Bye bye.